Hello, hello, and I am super excited to invite Mario from KrauseHouse DAO. So just a little bit of background on KrauseHouse DAO to start with. They are a community of hoop fanatics that are crazy enough to purchase and operate a whole entire NBA team as a DAO. So I'm so excited to invite Mario on today to talk about it and their awesome onboarding process. Thank you so much for joining us, Mario. I want to start off by just asking the best question in the world. How are you really? How's things going? Tell us a little about how you are. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much, Kelly, for having me on. I would love to dive deep into KrauseHouse, but yeah, first and foremost, doing well. I mean, every day I get to work on the challenge of buying an NBA team. So couldn't ask for a better gift to do that daily. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks you for asking. I'm in Brazil for Ethereum Rio, and it's amazing. Like the beach is literally like a 5-minute walk. So life really could not be better. But look, I'm not the one buying an NBA team. So let's start with you actually. Like, what's your story and like how did you get crypto pilled or like slide down the rabbit hole and working like as a part of as a core member of KrauseHouse DAO?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you the full overview. So I joined, I guess I got crypto pilled early 2021. So I'm relatively new still to the crypto Web3 scene. But I guess everyone starts off maybe with some sort of investment, but I always curious about how I have a non-technical background on business management. So I was always wondering like, how could I still break into the Web3 space with a non-technical background? Long story short, my background is in management consulting. Actually, I spent a summer with Team Canada as well, doing basketball analytics. So my background of a bit of basketball and business management kind of led me to KrauseHouse. And how I found out about it was actually through my brother. So my brother started a DeFi protocol in early to mid 2021. And he was like, hey, I just saw this on Twitter. There's a community trying to buy an NBA team. And it was small. It was probably less than like 40, 50 members at the time. So I just jumped in the Discord and after that, within a week, like I think I threw in the towel for my Web2 job as a management consultant and kind of went full into this DAO world. So that's how I kind of joined, and that's how I found out about KrauseHouse and generally about Web3. And then my role, so after joining KrauseHouse, and everyone starts from DAOs as like a bit of a nomad, you know what I mean? It's very accessible to go into different DAOs in and out. But with KrauseHouse, my favorite thing in the world is basketball, right? So I was wondering like, how could I build an onboarding process at KrauseHouse and kind of show to the community, like we have something that's best in class because we have this strong pull with basketball, but we're onboarding people that are new to Web3 and crypto, like myself previously, right?
Yeah.
So that was kind of my role, building onboarding and then helping shape the community. And then currently my role is as a part of a core team member, as one of the stewards of KrauseHouse, and just kind of, working with the community as we work towards this ultimate mission of buying an NBA team as a community.
Okay, that is sick. I love that the transition from like management consultant to like starting or like being the grower of a Web3 community to buy a bloody NBA team. Like I could imagine that shift was just insane. Like again, I think a lot of people in this space, like the Web3 space, have just had like their whole life turned 180 degrees. Like it's so much more exciting. There's so much more meaning. You can do like what you're passionate about. And like you play basketball yourself, or you just enjoy like watching NBA, the NBA. I don't know, think about sports. So
yeah, for sure. And actually, okay, I'll break it down into two questions. So the first part, yeah, I do play a bit of basketball recreationally. Never got to play at the highest level, but now there's this opportunity with KrauseHouse, not to shill it or anything, but anyone that is an NBA casual, had dreams of playing the NBA, or just is obsessed with it. There's an opportunity where we can bring fans closer to the NBA and general ownership, and really bring operational backgrounds, whatever your skill sets are, and contribute that to an NBA team. I think it's
Yeah.
a marriage of both worlds. But it's interesting you say you don't watch, or like you're new to basketball. We actually have a really strong cohort in Krause House of people that are new to basketball, but they love the community.
Ooh.
It's very strange. Like they don't watch NBA or anything, but they love to work on problems from the Web3 side, and they're starting to like basketball. So it goes both ways.
So I want to ask you about your transitioning from, like, let's go back to your consultant to like community leader role. Like, what did you find that the skills were transferable from your previous job, or like was there just like a whole bunch of things to learn, albeit like enjoyably, when you started like working for this DAO? Like, what was that like? How accessible is it for like people watching who might actually be in that consultant role like you before?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest reason you could probably break down why I took this leap of faith, if you will, going fully into DAOs was um, it's this. I'm gonna throw some buzzwords and I'll break it down into like how consultants, creatives, let's just like bucket everyone in the non-technical bucket, how they can get involved with DAOs.
Mm.
Um, Collective intelligence, like through DAOs, you have access to brilliant minds like yourself, for example, that you would never have in a Web2 confines when you're working within a company, right? So you can tap
Mm-hmm.
all these people that have different expertise and combine that together to build things for whatever your mission or goal is, right? So
Right.
myself as a consultant, how that applied was a lot of my consulting projects with Fortune 500 companies, we actually built out change management, onboarding programs for banks, for CPG companies, all these different companies. And those skills actually directly transferable to DAOs, because I saw infrastructure wise and structure wise with DAOs, it's all free form. You can kind of do anything and everything you want. Doesn't mean you'll get compensated for it, but you can work on all these different problems that you'd like to. So
Right.
with that, I think there's opportunities with DAOs to apply some sort of structure for onboarding that you can learn from the Web2 world. Just like if you step into the office and you know how your first day at work, you're greeted by maybe a recruiter or an HR person that give you the flow of the company, your onboarding package, they walk you through like your first week activities, all that kind of stuff. That's how we kind of like to break down those activities at Krause House.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So just like, let's talk a little bit more about like KrauseHouse DAO in general. Like, empowering fans to purchase and operate an NBA team sounds like pretty off the rails, if you ask me. Like, I want to know, like, where did the seed, like, where did it originate from, and how did you guys get it, like, I guess, yeah, off the ground? Like how?
Absolutely. So the founders Flex and Commodore actually started Krause House, the seed of the idea, in May 2021. So this was in the midst of, I think, the NBA playoffs. I believe Commodore is a big Bucks fan, so the Bucks won the championship that year, and Flex is a big Wizards fan. So I think they're very experienced in the DAO world, and they're like, hey, can we apply this concept of DAOs, community ownership, and use blockchain technology to unlock this new type of ownership, but with NBA. So they kind of created that. They spun up the Discord, the Twitter, and before you knew it, like floods of people started to jump in. And I was one of those folks that joined in June 2021, and
Yeah.
from there we just started to grow the community where anyone like yourself can just come in and get involved. So the interesting thing was how I got onboarded. That's how we replicated that for the rest of the DAO. I had a conversation with Commodore and Flex, a one-on-one call. And I was like, this is so cool. They're explaining to me, just like I'm explaining to you on a 30-minute call, like Krause House, how we're going to do this, community ownership, and how I could get involved. And I was like, okay, we can systemize this for onboarding now. So
Yeah.
that's how it started in May 2021. And then from there, we did a raise, an NFT launch in, I believe, mid-November, where we raised 1,000 ETH. So those funds
Wow.
aren't for buying the NBA team. Yeah, it sold out within like 4 days or something like that, the NFT tickets.
Yeah.
And those funds aren't just to misconstrue, because some people might be like, okay, 1,000 ETH, that's not enough to buy an NBA team. That's used for operating the DAO, and we'll probably do a secondary raise when we funnel down which teams we're going to target.
Okay, that's sick, and I'm like super. It sounds super personal the way that you were onboarded. Can I ask, like, I've heard from so many people and just like the Twitter space in like the ecosystem in general that your onboarding process is just like you can't compare it. Like, so does each member of your DAO really get onboarded in the same way that you do, like a 30-minute call, like a full breakdown? Like, how does that work, and like how have you facilitated that personally?
Yeah, so you want the secret sauce for onboarding. Okay,
If you're
let's
willing
do
to
it.
give it, like.
Of course, that's why we're here. So yeah, it was exactly replicating an experience. We actually do 30-minute calls with anyone that's interested in KrauseHouse. This is really important because, it's crazy. We've had calls with like ex-NBA players that are like, hey, I want to help out. How can I do that? I'm non-technical. What can I do? And you're sitting on a one-on-one call, and you're like, okay, let's break down your skills, your interests, how much time you have. And this is really important because I want to go back to that example with the Web2 world in the office. There's always going to be that high context member that's going to help onboard people and make them feel part of the family. And that's what we like to do at the DAO. So the steps that we do are make sure our vision and mission is clear and clearly stated. So any documentation, and we use Discord to onboard people. Like that's our tool of communication for community members. That we have around 4,000 members now in the Discord. We have a very clear mission statement. We have an introduce yourself channel, and this is great actually. Within 1 hour of you joining, and I'd love for you to join and go and introduce yourself after this call. We have an agent connect and talk to you one-to-one immediately within the Discord. So we believe in responding very quickly. It's like customer service. We want that to keep that high momentum, because the problem with Discord is it's just as easy as to enter, just as easy to leave. You can mute the server within 5 minutes if you're not interested. So to have that personal touch really quickly is something we pride ourselves. And then lastly, the last step of onboarding is we have draft classes every week. Every Wednesday, I believe 9 p.m. Eastern, we have draft classes. And if you're familiar with basketball, if you're not, basically the concept is in the NBA, every year they draft players onto teams. So for us, we draft new members to projects. And that's a great way to immerse them into what's going on with a personal touch. So that's what we're looking at. That's what we've done. And then we're looking to expand beyond that in onboarding, because now we see onboarding to projects, onboarding to, let's call them trading members to different projects as other things that we can improve as well. So that's a general overview. I threw a lot at you, but the most important thing is kind of replicating the personal touch and giving people structures and just providing the different ways, prepackaged ways people can contribute to the DAO.
Amazing. I got all of that, and I think you broke it down really nicely for me. I have a couple of questions. Firstly, I remember being in a space where you guys were also in, and you were talking about like a really exclusive entry point to the DAO. Like, what does that look like, and how do you make sure that people don't just randomly join the Discord and enter and leave, as most, like a lot of Discord channels experience? And secondly, by projects, like, what does this look like? What are members expected to do when they are drafted onto these projects? And also, like, what are the perks, or how are they, like, how are they rewarded? If I'm gonna put it in a Web3 kind of way.
Yeah, so just to relay that back. So one, so what are like the mechanisms? Like, how do we ensure people don't leave right away? Was the first question. Question two is more around like the membership perks, right? For new members.
Correct.
Awesome. Yeah, I just want to make sure I can break this down properly. So first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to our agents team. We have a team of 5 to 10 that do exactly what you said for point number one. Their sole job in KrauseHouse is to engage everyone that's interested that joins the Discord and to make the experience fully immersive and seamless. So they're assigned to people and cohorts essentially. So imagine you having a personal concierge in the DAO. That's our solution essentially for basically, I guess, preventing turnover for contributors, because there's a lot of great people that come through and we want to keep the momentum going. So that's our approach. That 5 to 10 person is a cheat code for us, and making sure we engage everyone. People, I guess members, when they join, we use Kraus token as our governance token. So for that, used as voting on the day-to-day operations, different proposals that are put up on Snapshot, which, if anyone's listening, Snapshot is the platform where, I guess, on-chain people can vote on stuff, and then it's binding, essentially. So people can put up proposals, for example, to be like, hey, I'm Kelly, I'm going to go interview this NBA player and I want to be compensated 100 Kraus for this. And you can put up that proposal. This proposal then goes to the stewards team, which I'm part of, that essentially they review these proposals, provide feedback, and then they put them on Snapshot essentially. And then the community will vote on it. And if the community is like, hey, you know what, that's really high value, that brings us one step closer to buying an NBA team, let's do it. And then let's say majority vote passes through, you'll be compensated 100 Kraus to go interview that NBA player or whatever that vote is. So that's compensation mechanism number one.
Okay.
Number two, other ways that I guess the membership perks. Let's dive into that. So we have AMAs with NBA insiders, like different journalists, coaches, and we try to have that every other week. Most recently, we had Coach Nick from B-Ball Breakdown, I grew up like idolizing his breakdowns of NBA plays and stuff like that. And it was surreal to have this small cohort, and he was sharing his screen, doing whiteboarding of different plays and teaching us about basketball at a very intimate level. These kind of experiences are part of the NFT perk. Also, in addition to that, we have whitelist opportunities and discounts for other sports projects that we're aligned with in our missions and values that we give to our NFT holders as well. Couple that will be announced probably shortly after this podcast comes out. In addition to that too, we actually do on-chain fantasy games where people can, make predictions and earn rewards, and then climb the leaderboards to kind of prove and show that, they're basketball savants, if you will. And this is part of the package, the experience that you get of being a perk holder. Other things we're looking at too is also developing in real life meetups to play pickup games and stuff like that for like the holders. So we're looking to build out an app where people can facilitate those meetups and play basketball together. So that's a quick overview, I guess. One, the compensation mechanisms and how people make proposals as part of the community. And then two, some of the perks of being a member at KrauseHouse.
These all sound like so surreal. And I highly urge anyone who's really excited about basketball or who wants to be just part of this awesome collective to just get in there and experience it. It's magical. I think it's a community grown from the internet who really wants to make stuff happen in real life, which I think is a thing that a lot of people struggle to comprehend in terms of the Web3 community and blockchain, crypto. So I think it's an excellent example of how it doesn't have to be so focused on DeFi or things like that. It's real, I think sport is such an important part of culture and it's a global thing. So I think this is a great way to really bring people together, get people active as well, not just sitting on their that's incredible. And I'm my mind is being blown as I listen to you. I just have to ask, as part of the team, I'm sure that you've had some hurdles or difficulties and getting all this up and running and functional and the whole DAO set up, because I know it's not an easy feat. So I wanted to ask, what were these at least the biggest obstacles, and if they do exist, how as a team did you overcome them or find a solution?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess one of the biggest things that we kind of faced early on was maybe the slower community growth. We wanted to grow really organic, but with that comes challenges. Like we weren't just pumping and be like, hey, we're buying an NBA team and doing that every day. Like we wanted to find the right people at the start and build a solid foundation. Because oftentimes you see in, it's not only crypto, it's and with startups too, if you grow too quickly, you don't have the right foundation, the right infrastructure. So we've had drive spells, you know, where days, maybe sometimes weeks, where the community maybe wasn't as vibrant with the new talent coming in, or just the new energy of people there to contribute to the DAO. But how we overcame that was, I guess, like developing this, this onboarding program where it created a sense of like engagement and people feeling like there's people actually behind this. There's really was what bonded people together. And then two, doing a bit of outreach, on Twitter and stuff like that, to find people that would be interested in this, just because we kind of saw people that weren't interested in basketball also found this fascinating too, because Web3, there's all these different personalities. And we want to make KrauseHouse the internet's home team. So we really want to be inclusive and really breathe these values to life, essentially. So yeah, that's how we kind of overcame that.
So KrauseHouse really shoots to the moon, which I really hope it will. Like, what sort of things do you want to see in the space? What does this reality look like when, like, in the future, these DAOs are really going to have a stake in the future of sport on a global level? Like, what do you hope to see out of it? Yeah, tell me a little bit about your vision.
Absolutely. So I'm going to plug some of the current things we're doing just to show to listeners that, this is more than just an idea, that it has really legs on it. So
Yeah.
we divide our working sprints into 2-month sprints, and we call them seasons. So we just finished season 2, and season 2, we actually had a plethora of just like conversations with, believe it or not, NBA league front offices, first degree connections to NBA connections. And we're really trying to figure out, okay, what can we do in terms of operating and governing an NBA team that an NBA would be receptive to? You know what I mean? We're also speaking to teams around the world too, internationally. I think you mentioned you're Australian. Like what would it look like for KrauseHouse too to maybe operate in there and really bring community ownership over there? So we're looking at everything. We're trying to leave all stones unturned. I probably butchered that saying, but you get what I'm saying. We're really trying to look at every angle, and we are having those conversations right now. So that's present right now. And then I want to plug this other idea too. So we think of KrauseHouse as this umbrella. Not only we're going to buy this NBA team, but other teams as well and other sports. So we actually launched a KrauseHouse Accelerator last week. So if you think of C Club, for anyone that's curious about what C Club is essentially an accelerator for different crypto projects. So we're looking to do the same thing, but specifically for sports projects. And currently we have in the first cohort, football.xyz, which is looking to buy a football team, aka soccer for all the North Americans.
No way.
We have, yeah, it's crazy. But the list, we have all these other sports. F1 DAO, they're buying an F1 racing team. They're doing amazing work over there.
Wow.
Diamond Gloves Championships, decentralized MMA. So picture on-chain fight bounties. Signing Day, which is basically exploring how to bring sponsorships to college athletes and do that with Web3. The Players Company, which is led by some current and ex-NFL players, including Amir Sheldon and Richard Sherman, who are creating a players company. And their first project is a bank DAO to own and operate a bank as a DAO. And then lastly, as part of this cohort, a basketball one, Princeton 3-on-3, which is a FIBA 3-on-3 team looking to run and find ways to decentralize FIBA, maybe, own and operate a 3-on-3 team as a DAO. So all of these puzzle pieces we're trying to put together and work with them and help them grow, in addition to our current mission as well.
Incredible. I am so, I think every single project that you just described I've never heard anything like it. And I really, really hope to see them succeed and possibly even get a chance to have a chat to them as well in the future. So I wrap up all of my interviews with a little bit of a fun section. So the question is rug, mint, or burn. We've got Pixelmon, let's say CryptoPunks, and Squiggles.
Let's obviously rug Pixelmon. As much as I love Kevin, I mean that's rug. Mint is the next one, right?
That's right.
Mint, CryptoPunks, and then burn Squiggles. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing everything about KrauseHouse. I can tell that there's so much potential, so much going on, so many exciting things coming out. So for anyone who's listening or watching, how the hell do we keep up with you, and what should we be keeping our eyes out for? Plus, how do we get involved? How do we start? How can we really make sure that the keen audience members can make their mark in the DAO itself?
Absolutely. So KrauseHouse.club is where you can start to just get some high level information. If you want to contribute and join the DAO, you can join our Discord. We have very clear, concise steps on how you can join and how you contribute. We have a contributor dashboard, which walks people through all the active projects. So you can get a snapshot view of, let's call them, all the departments that are in KrauseHouse essentially. And then if you just want to keep up and with our announcements, Twitter is where we share a lot of our announcements. Some announcements to be on the lookout for. Who knows, maybe in the next couple of months there might be some announcements around some ownership opportunities too. So yeah, be on the lookout for that, and hope to see you in our Discord.
Sick. Thank you so much, Mario. This was really, really new and exciting for me, and I hope it is for everyone out there.